Good evening, fight fans, and welcome to another edition of the MMAcorner.com's preview show, where tonight we're going to be breaking down UFC 174, Johnson versus Bagautinov. Filling in for Josh Davis this week, I am Jason Schilke, and I am joined by my partner in crime, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, Justin Fuller. Justin, how you doing this evening, my man?
Great.
All right, well,
Ready to rock and roll. Get this show on the road.
Of course,
the
Ayatollah.
UFC 174. I'm stoked. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm amped.
Of course, what else would we expect from the Ayatollah of rock and rolla?
World Flyweight Championship on the line.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a great night of fight. So, jumping right into this main card action, the first fight on the card, we have Ovince St. Preux taking on Ryan Jimmo at light heavyweight. Justin, what's your thoughts on this fight?
I'm really excited about this fight. When this fight first got announced, I was stoked. I wanted to see this fight, and I think a lot of people are picking OSP in this one, rightfully so. But I don't ever want to count Jimmo short. He's had some not so exciting fights, but he's also had some great knockouts. And interestingly, both these guys kind of made a name for themselves outside the UFC. Jimmo had a long-time undefeated streak. He was the MFC champion. Ovince St. Preux had a really good run in Strikeforce for a while there. And both guys fought one of my friends and one of my coaches, Antoine Britt. Jimmo, on their season of The Ultimate Fighter, lost in his fight to get in the house, and Ovince St. Preux fought Antoine back in Strikeforce. And Antoine's actually favoring OSP in this one, but I like Jimmo in this one, so I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
I know that you're picking Jimmo to take this, but I'm going to take Ovince St. Preux. I think that he has had a better showing inside the UFC. I think he is the better striker. I think he has more power. And I think if I had to be a betting man, which I am, I'm going to bet that this fight's going to take place on the feet. I don't think either of these guys are going to be looking to take it down to the mat. And with that, I think Ovince St. Preux has the better striking of the two. So we're going to split 1-1. I got St. Preux. You got Jimmo.
All right. I'm going to say if Ovince is going to eat some of those shots, not like them, he might be wanting to take it to the ground. He does have a more well-rounded striking game, but I don't think he's got the power. Jimmo's that one-punch quick knockout guy if he unloads. Not a lot of guys can say that, and he's the guy that can do it. We've seen him do it. So I would never say there's very few people I would say he is deficient in power against.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we saw Jimmo knock some fools out cold over in the MSC, so that's what he's famous for over there. But moving along, here's a fight I think is a lose-lose situation for one of the individuals involved. We have returning former UFC heavyweight champion Andrei Arlovski taking on Brandon Schaub. Now, I know we're both excited to see the pit bull back in action. Well, one of the pit bulls. There's like 19 of them in MMA now. But I think this is a lose-lose fight for Brandon Schaub. Because if he wins the fight, he was supposed to beat the fight. Andrei Arlovski, he's a can. He has a glass chin. His best days are well behind him. He is nobody. It doesn't matter. If he loses, he lost to that guy that I just mentioned. So, I kind of feel that, I kind of feel bad for Brandon Schaub. He's in a really tough spot here where I think he needs to perform, and he's going to have to show up big, or there's going to be huge questions surrounding him as he moves up the division, or if he even does move up the division, or if he's going to be relegated to that gatekeeper status at the bottom of the division. What's your thoughts, man?
I like Schwab in this one, but not because I don't think Arlovski's a can by any stretch of the means. He's had a couple of bad losses, and a lot of people look at some of those losses like that defines his whole career. The guy also had a lot of tough fights. The guy also had a pretty good streak there, okay? And I don't think he's a can by any means. Yes, he has a questionable chin, but he's also had a lot of fights go the distance where he didn't get knocked out. So he's definitely learned to adapt his game when he needs to do that. Schwab has also been knocked out before on more than one occasion. And Schwab's the guy who I think he's always been, ever since he lost the finale to Roy Nelson for The Ultimate Fighter, he's always been in the position his entire career about, well, let's see how good he really is. So I don't think that this is necessarily a lose-lose for him. I think it's a big-name fight. It's a guy he's trained with before. It's a guy, he's a former champion. This will be, the third former champion he's fighting. And, so Schwab's the guy who gets to fight legends. That's great. Like that, he gets to fight legends. He's 1-1 against legends right now. He's going to try and make it 2-1. And I like him in this fight, but not because I don't like Arlovsky. I like Arlovsky a lot, and I don't think Arlovsky's in a lose-lose situation either, because it's not like them bringing him back in came with this significant price tag with it. I'm pretty sure they were able to negotiate a deal that allows them to feel comfortable to give him more than one fight where they don't feel like they're losing money, because he's still a draw. But I'm thinking I think they're gonna be pretty even on the feet, and Schwab's gonna look to take it to the ground and finish it there.
You do bring up a good point, because a lot of the fans from, I don't want to say the olden days of MMA, but 2003, 2004, about a decade ago, that was when Andrei Arlovsky, he was just a beast. He was an animal. He was tearing through heavyweights. He was beating up on Tim Sylvia. So, I don't know. Andre's in a position where he has nothing to lose right here, and that's when I think a fighter's most dangerous. Even though Brendan has incredible power in his hands, so does Andre, and we've seen that.
Yes, he does.
And we've seen if Brendan gets tagged on the chin, he will go to sleep. And so with Andre coming in there with that nothing to lose attitude, if he does, I think he's going to score a knockout.
Yeah. Well, and that Roy Nelson fight, like that was his first fight in the UFC. I like to look at a guy's whole career, but at the same time, you kind of got to look at certain things as isolated incidents. And then the Big Nog fight, that was a fight where he didn't really fight like we usually see him fight, not to take anything away from Big Nog. So I think it depends on how focused he is going in. I think both guys have all the tools necessary to not only win this fight, but have a good performance in the fight. And hopefully they both come in and have a good performance. So there are no losers. Everyone wins, because it's going to be an exciting fight. I don't know if this is going to be knockout of the night, but I definitely think it's going to be a candidate for a bonus of the night, because I think both guys are looking to bring it, because both guys have something to prove. But I'm not worried about either of them losing their job after this fight, like some people have said.
Yeah, and regardless of who gets knocked out, which I think is a foregone conclusion, one of these guys is going to get knocked out, the real winners are going to be us. Moving along, very next fight on the card, we have a matchup between number 9 Ryan Bader and number 12 Rafael Calvacente. Justin, I know you got some thoughts on this one.
Yeah, just like the other light heavyweight fight. This is another fight that I wanted to see happen even before they booked it. I love Bader. I think he's definitely one of the legit gatekeepers of the division. Like, I mean, if you look at the guys he's lost to, and then you look at what they were able to go and accomplish later, with a couple of exceptions, everyone went on to get success. Half of them went on to either world champions or went on to get titles. Mm-hmm. So, but he's definitely, he always has a good performance. He looked great. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. Who is this last opponent? I'm sorry. I normally have my screen up right now, but I'm having trouble with the video, switching it over.
Who, Bader?
Yeah.
Give me just 1 second here, and I will tell you.
But I know Fejao, he had that win over Igor Puck
Anthony Perosh.
That's right, Perosh. Man, he just dominated him. I can't believe I can remember his name. I don't even think Perosh is in the UFC anymore. But yeah, Fejao had that great win over Igor Puck Riots. Yeah, somehow I remember Igor Puck Riots, but not Anthony Perosh, right? There's a lot of data up here, so I apologize. But yeah, man, and I love that fight with Fejao versus Thiago Silva. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way there, but that was a great fight. That was a back and forth. He looked good against Puck Riots, and I'm glad to see where either of these guys go. I like Bader in this one. I think his striking is ever improving, but if he's able to implement it with his wrestling better, that's going to work to his advantage. But if he sits there and stands and tries to strike and go for that quick knockout, he's going to have a bad day, because Fejao's very good at this. Oh, another funny point. This is the third guy on the card to have fought my boy Antoine Britt. They both fought in Strikeforce in a title eliminator. And Fejao went on to claim the Strikeforce light heavyweight title from King Mo following that fight. So a little bit of trivia there. Definitely this card has a lot of sentiment for people in my camp. But I'm a big fan of Fejao. I think he can get the knockout here. It depends on Bader's game plan. But Bader definitely has what it takes to be a top 5 guy. I don't think he's ever going to fight for a title, but he's definitely a good staple to have in the division. And he's a perennial top 10 guy. And I think he can work his way back up there towards that top 5, top 6 spot.
I think this card just needs to be called the 6 ways of Antoine Britt, because I think everybody on this card can be linked to one way.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, but I think he hit the nail on the head. I think that for Bader to take this fight, he's going to have to get down on the ground because Calvicante is 12-4 with one no contest, and all 12 of his wins come by knockout. So
Yes.
it's Rafael. You know what he's going to try to do to you. There's no surprises coming your way. You know that he's going to swing and try to take your damn head off. So in order for Bader to win this fight, he's going to have to get it to the ground. And with the way Bader's been fighting lately, he has been more about game plan than trying to swing wildly. So I do like Bader in this one. I think it's going to be a decision victory. I think he's going to have to use his wrestling, grind it out over 3 rounds. But that's my take on it. Now, co-main event time. We have Rory McDonald taking on Tyron. He's no longer T Wood. He is the chosen one. Woodley.
Oh.
Yes. Justin.
So I was talking about this fight last night. I did the podcast with Professor Carlos Carvalho, the executive director of ADCC North America Federation, and he's a former trainer of Matt Brown. And this fight, we talked about this fight, and I actually like this fight even more now that I know that the winner of Brown Lawler gets the title shot, because before that fight was booked, it was pretty much assumed the winner of this fight would be getting the next crack at Johnny Hendricks. So with that said, because that isn't guaranteed now, and there isn't even a gentleman's assurance of that, I think both guys are going to be looking to put on a better show, as opposed to doing, like, let's say what Carlos Condit did against Nick Diaz. Do what you got to do to win, because you have a belt you're going to win and a guaranteed unification bout following that. So I think because that actually puts more on the line, or more pressure for them to perform and put on an exciting fight, because neither guy really impressed too well in their last fight. They both beat tough guys. They both dominated their fights. But what they didn't do was wow us. They didn't win any fans. They didn't make people say, I would pay to have those guys fight for a title headline at pay-per-view. Tyrone's one of those guys that, man, when he's on, he is on. And it looks like no one in the world can stop that guy. And then he has other moments that you think, what's going on in his head? What's going on with his body right now? Maybe, what's going on with the damage he's taken? It's just a little unsure. So, but Rory's a really smart fighter. He's a really technical fighter, and he's going to go in there with a game plan for success. And I think he's probably, after the criticism he got for his last win, and after the loss to Robbie Lawler, hopefully that puts some real fire back in him to try and perform like that early Rory, the Rory that we saw, going to the 3rd round with Condit before he got caught, that Rory that we saw dominate his next 4 fights after that. So, as far as picks go, I'm leaning towards Rory, but I think Woodley could definitely stop this fight in the 1st or 2nd round and just make it look easy if he's on.
You know what? I am going to take Tyron by the 1st round. Roy did receive a lot of criticism after his fight with Damian Maia. It was a very, very boring, lackluster event. A lot of people thought that Roy was holding back instead of showing that killer instinct that he should have been using. And
let's point out he got tooled pretty good there for a while by Damian Maia. Damian Maia lost that fight more so than Roy dominated Damian Maia.
Yes, and it was also confirmed today during the media scrum with Dana White that the winner of this fight will not be getting a title shot.
Yeah.
It will be the winner of Lawler Brown getting the next shot at whoever the title holder may be.
Yeah, but anything could happen if Woodley or McDonald knock someone out in the 1st round, and Lawler or Brown get injured, or that fight doesn't happen, or it happens but the winner's out for a while. That's the guy they're going to be looking to, because that'll be the next guy in line in the rankings. And if you have a good performance, you'll make a lot better argument to step over that ladder.
True that. But with all that being said, Tyron has looked like a beast in his last 2 fights. He's knocked out Josh Koscheck, he's knocked out Carlos Condit, and he's going to knock out Rory McDonald Saturday night. Now, main event time for the flyweight championship of the world, the UFC's world. Demetrius Johnson versus number 4, Ali Bagautinov. Justin, I'll let you go first on this one. I know you have some strong thoughts.
No, I wouldn't say strong thoughts. I just think Mighty Mouse is one of the top 3, if not the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I think the guy's one of the most well-rounded mixed martial artists, one of the fastest, high-paced fighters, naturally because he's one of the smallest, and that this is this isn't just his home in this weight class compared to when he was having a fight at bantamweight, because there was no flyweight division in the WC or UFC. But this is his division. He has built this division. He is defining this division, and rightfully so. The guy, I mean, every time you see a hole in his game plan from one fight, you see that corrected the next fight. He's fought the best guys in the world in that weight class, and some of the best guys in the world who dropped down a weight class like he did. He was one of the best guys in the world at 135, right? What was his it was only loss in recent memory for the title to Dominic Cruz, who was obviously a much larger guy than him. Now, Bagatinov's a tough guy. He's definitely a legitimate contender, especially when you look at the fact that he's already beat everyone else that are right around there, and you can only have so many rematches as they try to develop the division. I just don't see him winning this. Mighty Mouse, it's just he just has too many tools in the toolbox, too many ways to finish a fight, too many ways to win a fight, and he's just such a smart, technical, exciting fighter that it's a shame he's not more popular, and I'm glad he's headlining a card and is the only title fight on the card.
I am right there with you on this one. Now, first, before I go into my take, I have to say on behalf of our own Josh Davis that he wanted to say that Bagautinov is going to whoop Mighty Mouse's ass from one side of the cage to the other.
I do remember he said that last time we talked, I think. I can't remember if that was on the record or not, but that sounds about – I believe that if he sent that to you.
Yeah, he said some in some capacity, so I'm throwing that out there. And so I wanted to get his main event pick in here, but Josh, you're dead wrong on this one. Mighty Mouse is going to take this. I think, honestly, he should be one of the top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the UFC. I mean, he's got the quickness. He's shown he's got improved striking. He's got a sick ground game. The only fighter in the division that could keep up his pace is John Dodson, who I think is his only legitimate contender.
Yes, and I like Dodson. I would pick Dodson 2 times out of 3 against Mighty Mouse, but that doesn't change the fact that I think Mighty Mouse is the most well-rounded guy, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters. Dodson just has the tools to beat him better than anyone else. He just wasn't able to put it together the first time they fought. Because doesn't matter what you got going into it. It all matters what you have in the cage and how you use it.
And the X factor that Johnson always has is Matt Hume, who is one of the best trainers ever in the history of the sport.
One of the legendary trainers.
Oh, yes.
That old school Pancrase guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was fighting back in Pancrase before anybody knew what Pancrase was.
Pancration.
Yeah. What do you want to call it? We're talking like 1993 before there was a UFC. He was fighting. And he is, like you said, he's a legendary trainer within the sport. I mean, I know that Dwayne Ludwig, he's hot shit right now, but nobody's, I mean...
he's one of those
he's
one of those old school trainers. We've seen camps come and go over the years as far as prestige goes. He's one of those guys who's consistently been right up there, and by evident of Mighty Mouse still producing top world-class talent. So he has not only evolved as a trainer, he's ensured the caliber of fighters he's putting out are evolved. He's bringing in guys to make sure that they're always not changing with the sport, but dictating the change of the sport.
Exactly. And whenever a fighter has a hole in the game, Matt Hume make sure that they patch it, as evident with Mighty Mouse's punching power.
Yes.
But even with Matt Hume in his corner, I don't know. Bagautinov, he is a tough dude, but I don't think that his tool set is going to match up well against Demetrious Johnson. I got Demetrious by decision this one. So, Justin, final thoughts on this card?
Great pay-per-view. I think the fact that I only needed one fact check, and that's just because I was having a little bit of a brain fart. I didn't need to go look at any tape on any of these guys. I had no questions about what anyone on this card was capable of. That right there is evident that this is a stacked card. Now, granted, guys like you and me, we watch a lot of UFC and MMA. We're always reading up. We're always doing our research, even when it's not for something specific coming up. That's just what we do because we love it. But this is one, I could talk about this card for hours any day of the week, because that's how good this card is. That's how stoked I'm about this. And you got the little guys headlining, but you got some heavy hitters covering them, putting on a good show, opening the act. So we're definitely, I mean, I'm not going to put money on it, but I would be surprised if we didn't get a couple knockouts on the main card alone.
Oh, easy. I mean, I don't think there's if there was a prop bet that I could put that 4 out of these 5 main card bouts would end in a KO, I would take that bet in a heartbeat. So I think it could most definitely happen. But I am glad that Demetrius Johnson's gained that headline this pay-per-view. As you said, as the solo championship bout on the pay-per-view.
Arguably, with a co-main event that is not a strong pay-per-view co-main event. Both those guys are legit tough guys, top 5 guys, but they're not pay-per-view driving material yet. Like Woodley McDonald's a fight we would expect to see headline of. They could maybe they could headline a cable card. They're always strong pay-per-view as mid cards, but for them to be in the co-main event to someone who they're still trying to develop as a draw is a big risk, and I'm glad they're taking that risk because I think this is Demetrius Johnson's time to shine. Everyone's going to be stoked. Everyone's going to see exciting fights, and then they get to see the quickest, fastest guy in the sport take the center stage.
Absolutely, man. I think that this is going to be Mighty Mouse's platform. I think this is going to be his coming out party. I think after this event, if you don't know who Mighty Mouse is, you're going to know who Mighty Mouse is. So I believe that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Thank you, as always, Justin Fuller, for coming on, and we'll be back on Saturday night to be breaking down all the action. And this edition of the MMA Corner Prediction Show has been brought to you by Battle Bomb, the only pain reliever with the knockout power. Go to battlebomb.com. And audio for tonight's episode is powered by Soul, Power, Clarity, Comfort. Go get you some. Check them out, soulelectronics.com. So for Justin Fuller, and for me, till Saturday night, keep living the MMA
Peace out.
lifestyle.